Hello, my dear Pharma Network. And here we are in sunny Dubrovnik in Croatia. And we are having NEXT Pharma event. At NEXT Pharma event, we are meeting a lot of friends. And today we have amazing guest with us in our improvised studio. Please meet Michael Kurr, who is working in global transformation for pharma, with pharma. For many years, being in the trenches of the transformation from commercial and medical operations, he knows for sure how our industry is changing right now. Hello, Michael. Welcome.
Good morning, Nataliya.
About you and your experience.
Well, as you rightly mentioned, I spent many years, literally the last 15 plus years in large pharma organizations. Last 6 years with Boehringer Ingelheim, the 9 years before with Novartis. And I was actually looking into large scale global transformations, building what we call internal shared services organizations from the ground up. Throughout my 8 to 9 years in Novartis, in various accountabilities, moving from a senior program consultant role into a kind of a key account management role, then taking over business development accountabilities across all divisions for entire region Europe, ending up in the global leadership team. But I also, what was important in this part of the global transformation journey, and we can talk about more about that, Novartis also sent me into the market, Germany in this case, to build a last mile execution entity as part of this global internal shared services organization. Very critical to have that. So we can talk more about this. And then I joined Boehringer Ingelheim 6 years back. And there I built a similar kind of organization together with my team from the very ground up. There was nothing existing in Boehringer Ingelheim end of 2019 when I joined them. And when I left end of November, we are looking at an industrial scale organization with a nearshore captive center in Spain of about 350 plus people and an outsourced offshore footprint of another 600-700 people. So overall, a delivery system of around 1,000 people supporting all markets worldwide with all these kind of ComOps and medical affairs ops activities.
It looks crazy. And the major word, you just pronounce it, delivery, right?
Yes.
So last year, here on that stage, you were talking about delivery. So we were like, it was like already a phrase which catching up with me all the time. Like content is a king, but delivery is a queen, right?
The Kong. King Kong, not King and Queen. We're talking about King Kong.
I love the king
That
and
was the
queen,
point.
but that's the point. See? And in that point, what do you think about delivery of that large-scale organization in this AI-supported era? So when we have AI and we have a lot of transformation ongoing, so how the delivery at scale will be transformed?
Well, that's a very big question, how AI will impact these kind of large-scale organizations that most of large pharma organizations have by now. But let me take a step back. So the last 3 years I was talking here, 23, 24, 25, and I was kind of sharing my entire journey from establishing the first large-scale content management factory in Boehringer, moving into the prerequisites of what is needed to deliver customized content at a large scale. And then last year, I was talking about the transformation circus, some of the eternal truth of global transformation and what makes or breaks them. And in terms of the King Kong thing, that pretty nicely resonated also with the audience. My point was just that you need to have the content in place, moving forward more and more custom content, but you need to be equally focused on delivery of this content. And if it's getting more and more custom and you want to have that at scale, this is going to put a huge strain on any organization that want to be able to do this in a King Kong setup, not only having the content in place, that might be even the easier part, but getting it to the right customer at the right point in time, in the right level of customization, is a very different animal. This is why I said King Kong, right?
It's a metaphor I love.
Okay.
That, like a girl, I like king and queen thing, right? Like, but King Kong is the metaphor of yours. So that's really industry will remember. So after all, so, but yet I remember the other phrase of yours, modular content is dead. So that's you pronounced as well from that stage. So this is something I want you to explain to our audience, because modular content is the way to standardize this, is the way to get it forward. So how it can be dead, or even in your eyes, how it can be.
First of all, I like to provoke a little bit. Also being mildly disrespectful, because this is kicking off the right conversations. If everybody is in harmony, there will be no progress, not insight-wise, not discussion-wise. So you need to tease the people. And this is why I stood on stage. While modular content definitely was one of the key strategic priorities, that was exactly the moment when I was on stage saying, you know what, forget modular content. It will be dead in 2 to 3 years from now, on the back of AI. I still believe there's a core truth in that. As the technology evolves rapidly, we used modular content, we used the templatized versions to get to a certain level of customization without reinventing content one after the other all the time, right? It was a tool to enable scalability with slightly customized content, but as such, it always felt like a crutch and something that we should not need in the first place. And with AI, Gen AI, probably agentic AI coming into the mix, I believe a well-trained model doesn't need this crutch anymore at some point in time. So this was really the backup of why I said modular content is dead or will be dead soon.
Yeah.
And I still believe it's true, but it's not ready for prime time. Even the technology is not yet ready for prime time. And we haven't even started to look into what's the absorption capacity for change of these large structures and organizations. That's yet a completely different topic.
Yeah, but in my opinion, what modular content can do to survive the next couple of years within AI is just to play this role of well-structured, pre-approved material.
Yeah.
So when the reg architectures can retrieve and validate and make sure we have the pre-approved content on the fly. This is what we are all experiencing today, and we can see vendor after vendor is trying to get all this content inside their systems with the pre-approved level. It brings us to the question of MLR. It's like the question you touched also significantly in your pitches. So I would like to ask you if MLR is a technology barrier or it is more a barrier of risk-averse behavior. So from pharma side. So how do you treat MLR these days? So is this a significant barrier today?
Well, I guess it's just the way pharma operates. Everything that is content needs to be approved. Otherwise, we are not supposed to deploy it. And this has to do also with legal liabilities and all the rest of it. And that's fine. So we don't have an alternative to stay compliant, to be compliant, and to manage this as efficiently as we possibly can. And I guess coming back to the theme of delivering customized content at scale, the MLR approval process is a real bottleneck, right? Because the more customized the content becomes, the more content will be there, the more MLR approval activities need to go on. So we have to leverage technology to not end up with a long tail of content that is waiting for approval in the first place. Because why do we create more custom content at scale if we don't get it approved? So technology needs to enable this. What I'm still thinking, technology might only half the story, because what this approval step is all about is not so much around the quality and the compliance of the content. It has a lot to do with confidence in the content and with the trust of the local approver that what he receives pre-approved is good to go with very minimal effort. And that requires a lot of trust, because there are legal liabilities attached to the sign-off of the content. And that might be probably the other part of the bottleneck here. And this is something where technology also need to help, but the technology need to bring the trust into the system that is required to help the local approver to be confident and sign off quickly. And that might be yet a higher hurdle than the technology in the first place.
It's already a huge relief that technology is not a burden there, right?
Yeah.
So that we have the technology. Now, like, this is the common question we have. Do we trust the technology?
Yeah.
And that's absolutely amazing how you put that. So that the bottleneck actually might be in how much do we trust these results. From your experience, so how long will it take us to be there to start to trust AI that much that we are not any longer at risk in pharma? The pharma is huge risk with the content, with the large-scaled content approved through AI. So what is in this trust for you?
Well, obviously, I don't have a glass bowl on my desk, right? In terms of how long does it still take? I guess it's mainly a function of how we are building these AI systems, how we deploy them, how transparent they are. If these AI tools remain a black box, trust will be hard to build. So it's all about explainability, transparency, about people understanding how an outcome was achieved. And this will always be very difficult in a pure probabilistically managed system like these large language models typically are, right? They are working on the back of probabilities. So they can be wrong also. And that's not acceptable in pharma. Yeah. So we need to become more deterministic in this approach while still not losing the power of AI to enable this process overall. And the better we are doing this, the easier it's explainable, the easier people can understand how certain outcomes were produced, the quicker trust will be building up and the quicker people will become confident to sign off content that was not only AI generated, but also AI approved, right? Because that's then the point where we need to be.
Yeah. So in that case, we are working more with reasoning within agentic AI, building trust. And that means like the adoption of AI is the key for transformation at scale, right?
Yep.
As the leader of the transformation and transformative behavior inside the organization, what you would recommend to us humans, so like to all people who are now in this stage adopting AI, changing their behavior, we are all in that journey together. What would be your advice? What to do? So maybe from the large scale perspective to the people.
Being distracted here at the conference, it's very authentic.
Yeah, but that's great.
That's a tough question. So what can I recommend? First of all, we need to accept that this is going to happen at some point in time. This AI, this generative AI, also the agentic AI, this will stay with us. No matter if we like it, no matter if we distrust it, no matter if we feel threatened by this development, because at some point in time, there's a world where this will take away also jobs or massively redefining existing jobs and so on and so forth. This is a very daunting development that we are seeing for many people, but we have no choice than embracing it. Once at Novartis, I received some golden rules that was around stay relevant and stay up to date. And that's the best recommendation I can put forward. Yeah, you need to embrace the opportunities that come with the technology. You need to also embrace the risks that come with it to be able to embrace the opportunities equally. Yeah, there's no way of resisting this. We need to embrace it and we need to go with it.
Exactly. So, my dear Pharma Network, the transformation was never more alive than today with Michael Kurr in our improvised studio. I really appreciate your attention and we will follow up. If you have any question to Michael, to his challenging and life-changing experience of settling this huge transformative machine of the production at scale. So in both organizations, in Novartis and Boehringer Ingelheim. So please don't hesitate to reach out to Michael, follow our page, and let's stay connected. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, Nataliya. It was a pleasure.